Ms. Jane Kinnin-Moore is the CEO of United Nations Association United Kingdom. She's now joining us live from London. Ms. Jane Kinnin-Moore, it's good to see you. Let's talk about the latest now that is coming in from Iran. Iran has actually apologized to its neighboring countries, saying that they will not attack them unless they're provoked. And Trump took credit of that apology.
It's not clear how serious this apology from the Iranian president is. Now, of course, around the world, many people in many countries want to see signs of de-escalation because these attacks on the Gulf states, they're not just attacks on the Gulf states, they're harming the global economy. And indeed, that's the point. Iran has officially justified these strikes by saying that they are targeting American bases in the Gulf, but it has gone beyond that. There is a deliberate attempt to disrupt the economy, and that is coupled with the disruption to the oil price through the disruption to the Strait of Hormuz. Essentially, we're seeing an Iranian regime that believes, rightly, that it's under existential threat. It's backed into a corner, and it's sending a message that it will take others down with it unless the US is pushed for a ceasefire. Now, this will be bad for Iran as well, because Iran spent the last several years trying to mend relations with the Gulf countries, to improve relations. Those would need to be countries that it cooperates with economically if it's to be a successful country. So there may be different views inside Iran about the wisdom of attacking the neighbours, but what we've seen so far is that those attacks haven't stopped. So no one knows whether Pezeshkian is trying to send a message that he's open to de-escalation, or whether the president is not really in charge, as the president has only ever been one part of a complex leadership system. There may now be an interim supreme leader in place in the form of Khamenei's son, although that's not fully confirmed. But we know that the people who really have the most say right now are the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So whether Pezeshkian is able to tell them what to do, that's very uncertain.
Ms. Kinnin-Moore, we'll talk about what the Treasury Secretary of the United States did say, that tonight will be the biggest attack on Iran. But there's another side issue that is really happening in that region, and people are not really talking about it, and that is Lebanon. Did this war in Iran give leeway, some sort of leeway, to Israel to attack Lebanon however they want? Because that, or those attacks, have increased.
Well, it is linked. You know, Hezbollah did initially seem to want to stay out of this war. They have been damaged over the last couple of years because Israel went after them after the October 7th attacks. A lot of this is a regional conflict that's really been triggered by those October 7th attacks on Israel, but now it is rising to a conflict with global implications now that it has spread so much. But Hezbollah had always said that if Israel attacked Iran's supreme leader, that would be a red line for them. So they did respond by starting to fire towards Israel, and Israel then went into Lebanon very, very heavily. Now, France is the country outside of the region that is most engaged. It has been trying to de-escalate. It has condemned the fact that Israel seems to have struck even the UN peacekeepers in Lebanon, injuring 3 soldiers who are there from Ghana just to implement previous peace agreements. But yes, it is also true that because there's so much happening in the region, there isn't that much attention going to Lebanon or to Gaza, where once again the borders have been closed and there are severe shortages of badly needed humanitarian aid. Right now, many people in Lebanon have been warned to evacuate their homes, including residents of South Beirut. So there's real terror in a country that really has experienced far too much war already.
Mrs. Kinnin-Moore, like I mentioned, U.S. Treasury Secretary did mention that tonight is going to be the biggest attack on Iran. There are also claims that the United States is thinking about sending a third carrier strike group to the region or to the sea around Iran. Is this a show of force? And what is the United States' objectives in this war?
The war objectives, I mean, multiple rationales for this war have been given, and it seems that the president is sometimes contradicting himself, President Trump. The kind of generous interpretation of that is that he's also giving himself options so that he can declare victory at basically any point. Sometimes there has been talk of regime change that may or may not be feasible for the US. We don't know yet. But already the US has obviously massively degraded Iran's military capabilities. And they're talking a lot about that, preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, although that perhaps could have been done diplomatically. So they may be able to choose, or they hope they may be able to choose when they can get out of it if they're not 100% committed to saying there has to be a totally new type of system in Iran. But yes, it certainly is a show of force. We have an Iranian leadership that is really dug in, wanting to show that they can survive. And I think that they will believe that they may be able to survive. They'll be hurt, but they think that the US ultimately will have a short attention span and won't be able to tolerate the high oil prices for a long time. At the same time, the US is trying to prove things. It's trying to rid itself of the ghost of the Iraq War. The people in the US military that are behind this war, not all of them support it, but those that do support it feel that for too long, America's adversaries have felt that it wouldn't go to war again in the Middle East and that it would be afraid to go into something that could become a quagmire because of that Iraq experience. So they are wanting to show strength through overwhelming military power. But maybe they are repeating some of the mistakes of Iraq. Of course, the slogan that was used at that time was shock and awe. And this time they're talking about lethality, the greatest military ever, and so on. Certainly, they can show that they have got this incredible hardware and technology, but at what cost? In all sorts of ways. You know, this is very, very expensive for the American military. Huge amounts of money are being spent on this war. And ultimately, there still are many questions about what the strategic gains will be for America, especially as we're already seeing a lot of civilian casualties, and these things tend to breed anti-American sentiment that can last for a very long time.
Right. Miss Jane Kinnin Moore, it's good to see you. We'll have to end this discussion there. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.